Go
Yeah.
Flames.
Just go.
Fuck off.
Okay, so let's put this pick in the spot. So I got Shanks stronger than Kizaru. You got Kizaru stronger than Shanks.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I can start if that's fine with you.
sure.
All right. Well, my evidence for Shanks being stronger than Kizaru is because he canonically beat him. I'll send the video of that.
Okay.
I'll send it. Actually, let me send it in VC scans.
Oh, film red. Let me watch this.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so he shoots the little lasers. Wait, this is film red. Can you prove that film red's even canon?
Yeah, I can show scan for that real quick.
Alright. Actually, wait. Shanks doesn't even get a feed on him. We can get into that first.
Okay, let's do that first. Why do you think he doesn't have a feed on him?
Which feed are you using? Are you trying to say that Shanks blocked his lasers so he scales above, or
Well,
like?
well, basically, Kizaru kept on trying to shoot Shanks, but he consistently blocked all his lasers and then went right up to where Kizaru is and eventually just had his sword to his throat, and Kizaru conceded the fight.
Okay, what happened? Okay, I'm gonna just attack the first thing first. Kizaru shot his lasers when Shanks was on the island. Can you prove that? What's his name? Kizaru even attended the fight at full power because he knows that Shanks off guard.
What?
Can you prove that Kizaru intended to fire his lasers at full power because he knows that Shanks is off guard?
Why would that give him an incentive to not go at full power?
Okay, if you're fighting you're fighting a guy, and let's say the guy's like asleep, you don't have to inherently like use your full power to even kill them. It would be better to not use your full
Okay, wait.
power.
First off, proof Shanks is off guard there.
Okay, he's on the island down there, and Kizaru's like way above him.
Okay, but that assumes that he can't see him and isn't actively trying to fight him at the time.
Okay, if Kizaru flies, wait, okay, if Shanks is down on the island and Kizaru is on a completely different island behind Shanks, how do you think he can see him?
Because Shanks can notice that Kizaru's beaming up to the sky. Shanks is already ready to fight the Marines. He's actively fighting the Marines. He's obviously making sure to fight off the Marines who are trying to harm his daughter. And he sees, it's very easy to see a beam of light traveling up to the sky and then massive like lasers firing. Kizaru
Yeah,
should
it's
have no
easy.
reason to guarantee the idea that Shanks is off guard here. He should have no reason to guarantee that.
It's easy to see a beam of light flying up to the sky when you're like looking at the beam of light. Kizaru's flying behind Shanks, and Shanks is fighting off Marines, and Kizaru hasn't arrived yet. He's like in like a little different. He's in a different little fleet of Marines.
No, like okay, but the thing is that Shanks Shanks would still notice the fact that the beam of light is going upward because it is a massive beam of light that emits light. Obviously, it signals to people. So he doesn't necessarily have to be actively focusing on Kizaru to notice it. Since he's
Yeah, I don't.
basically Kizaru sending off a signal by turning into light, which obviously creates an attraction.
You can't prove that the light Kizaru's like shining off is like how do I explain it? It's bright enough for Shanks to see it, even if he's like looking the other way.
Okay, but then at that point, why would Kizaru assume that Shanks is completely off guard here and unable to notice his presence? That's still the thing that I'm saying. Like he's got a reason here that he's making his presence known, right? Even if Shanks could have been completely looking the other way, closing his eyes, some type of shit like that, which isn't shown. If anything, he's shown to be on guard. Um, at least when fighting other people. So there's no precedent for Kizaru to assume that Shanks is off guard here.
Okay, he has his eyes open and stuff, but the point is he's fighting other people down on the island. Kizaru's above him and behind him. I don't see why. Just because you're fighting people down on an island, that means that now you can see like less like a plane in the sky behind you.
That's what I'm saying. That like it gives. I'm giving the what's it called? I'm giving the reason for that is because Kizaru is literally turning to light and going high up into the sky and charging up multiple lasers. A lot of light being emitted. It gives a
Okay,
reason
okay.
for Shanks to
Wait,
potentially
that's
notice
the
that.
question though.
You know, he doesn't need to be. He doesn't actively need to be focused on Kizaru to see
Wait,
something that's happening
okay, but what
elsewhere
I'm
and then
questioning
divert
is
his
if
attention to
Shanks
it.
can even
You
notice
know.
that Kizaru, a beam of light, is up there when he's looking the other way.
I mean, I'm not like disagreeing that it's possible he did it. I'm just saying that that would make it less likely for Kizaru to try and be like, I guess not trying to fire his lasers at full speed is what you're
Oh,
trying to argue. That wouldn't give him credence to do that, assuming that Shanks is off guard, because it's very possible that Shanks could notice him, so it would be less likely to
okay.
give Shanks that
You
slip.
granted that something is possible. Are you granting that it's possible that Shanks is just off guard and Kizaru thinks that he's off guard?
I'm granting that it's possible that Shanks is off guard, I guess, that he didn't notice, but I'm saying it's less likely for Kizaru to fire those lasers, assuming that.
You cut out.
Okay. I'm not. I'm saying right. It's possible that Shanks was off guard here, but it'd be less likely for Kizaru, even if he assumes the fact that Shanks is off guard, for him to fire his lasers. I'm assuming that in the first place, or even if he thinks that Shanks wasn't like, noticing him at the first place, because as I said, right, it is very much possible at the same time for Shanks to notice Kizaru's presence and to go and defend against it, which would just make it mean that like Kizaru is just impairing his chances of getting Shanks if he's intentionally, I guess, slowing himself down or whatever you would have to argue for the off guard to matter. It would just be not as charitable in his favor to defeat Shanks. Because as I said, right, it's completely possible that Shanks noticed the
Okay.
light and is now prepping to fight Kizaru. Which is actually what would have happened if, unless you want
Alright.
to argue that,
If you
actually, never mind,
grant
never
that
mind.
it's possible that Shanks, that Kizaru thinks that Shanks is off guard, that type of shit, right? And then if I'm saying that if what do you call it? If Kizaru thinks that Shanks is off guard, then he wouldn't fire the laser at full speed. Are you disagreeing with that?
Wait, repeat that again? My bad, I cut out. Sorry.
If Kizaru thinks that Shanks is off guard, then he wouldn't fire the laser at full speed.
Um, I'm saying that even for Kizaru to take into account to account the possibility that Shanks is off guard, it would still be less likely for him to like intentionally not fire the lasers at full speed because Shanks could notice him, and then it would just make it
If
easier for
okay,
Shanks to deflect the lasers than
if
if he
Shanks
fired
noticed
them
him, then
at
he
full
wouldn't
power,
be
I
off
guess.
guard though. If the possibility is that Shanks is off guard, right, and Kizaru thinks that Shanks is off guard, this would mean that Kizaru isn't thinking that Shanks would just randomly just fly up into the sky and attack him.
No, well, as I said, right? Either and that not only does that assume that Shanks isn't like off guard in the first place, but that also assumes that Shanks would not be capable of noticing Kizaru's presence, which I gave the precedent for. So then, if like even if Shanks didn't notice Kizaru at first, if Kizaru does this maneuver where he turns the light and he charges up to the air, um, and then he shoots all these laser beams, he would still have to assume on top of that that Shanks would remain off guard. So that's what I'm saying. That's just less likely.
Oh, okay. So you disagree with when Kizaru flies up into the sky up there, then Shanks is off guard there, right? That being possible, right?
At the very least, no, I'm not disagreeing that it's possible. I'm just saying that it's less likely for Kizaru to off guard to like fire a suppressed laser, and assume that Shanks is off guard, and try to like impair his combat ability due to that. It's just less likely for him to take the chance of firing a suppressed laser because of the fact that he made himself known and could alert Shanks and then make Shanks on guard from there.
No, okay. I'm saying okay. I'll put it like this: there's two interpretations. One, Kizaru, when he's up in the sky, he thinks that Shanks is on guard, And two, when Kizaru's up in the sky, he thinks that Shanks is off guard. If he thinks that Shanks is off guard, then that means that he doesn't think that Shanks is randomly gonna fly up into the sky and like attack him. 'Cause, he thinks it's off guard. And if Kizaru thinks that Shanks is off guard, then he would be what do you call it? He'd fire suppressed lasers. Your counter to that was that he might consider the possibility that Shanks is gonna fly up into the sky, but that's not under the possibility that Shanks is off guard.
Well, no, I'm saying okay. Well, first off, I think there's more than just two. I think that it's either Shanks was off guard, Shanks is on guard, or Shanks would become on guard due to Kizaru making his presence known by firing the lasers. Those are two scenarios out of three where Shanks would still be in combat mode to combat the lasers, so it'd be disadvantageous to fire suppressed lasers, trying to assume that Shanks is off guard. So it'd be more likely, logically, that Shanks would be on guard than he is off guard. I'm not discrediting the possibility, of course. I'm just saying that it's less likely. And then, well, I'll leave that for later. But first, what do you say to that?
Okay, I'm saying there's only two possibilities when Kizaru's in the sky, not when he's already fired the lasers. When Kizaru's just in the sky chilling there before he fires the lasers, there's only two possibilities. One, he thinks that Shanks is on guard. Two, he thinks that Shanks is off guard. And also, I don't
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
can
yeah.
prove that. Wait, I don't think you can prove that Kizaru firing the lasers would even alert Shanks.
Well, as I said, right, it would just be emitting a shit ton of light, and we also hear that they make a sound. So it just gives credence to the
Uh,
idea that,
Okay, it makes
like, the more shit that Shanks does, the more shit that Kizaru does, the higher likelihood it is to alert Shanks. Obviously, it's not going to guarantee, we don't know for sure, but it obviously could alert him. Like, if you make enough of a sound, waking someone from sleep type shit.
yeah. Okay, it's making a sound, but the point is that Shanks like way under on an island.
Yeah, I don't think that means that you can't notice that. After all,
Okay.
it is from what we even see in the angles of the movie, it is still like a huge light emission that you can see with your own eyes. I wouldn't say that gives enough of a precedence to say that just because Shanks is well below where Kizaru is, you just can't notice it
Wait,
at
wait,
all.
what's in question is Shanks even looking in Kizaru's direction, and two, prove that
I'm not
Shanks
I'm
even
not
prove that Shanks can hear the lasers from there.
I'm not even asserting that he's what was I saying? I'm not asserting that he's noticing that. I'm just saying that it's a possibility, and I'm saying that it's more probable, or should logically be more probable in Kizaru's mind, that not only could have he initially been on guard for Kizaru's arrival, but then he could have also, on top of that, alerted him when he went up to the sky to shoot those lasers. So I'm just saying that even though obviously I'm not definitively making a claim here, it's just the fact that, well, the only thing I'm saying is just in the end of the day, with what's possible, it'd be more probable for, in Kizaru's mind, for Shanks to be on guard, so it'd be more likely that he's not suppressing himself, as it'd just be
Wait, you
disadvantageous
haven't
at that point.
explained why it's more likely in Kizaru's mind for Shanks to be on guard.
I already did. Okay, let me explain again. Because as I said, right, he could have been alerted. There are 2 points where he could have been off guard. I mean, on guard, right? He could have already been on guard even before Kizaru went to attack, right? And then let's just assume that that he was off guard there. He could have then became on guard if he noticed Shanks. I mean, Kizaru using the light thing to attack. I mean, to turn it into light and then attack Shanks. So even if it was a 50-50 before Kizaru attacked Shanks, as to whether or not he was on guard for Kizaru's arrival, then the chances become skewed more because Kizaru's just done more to make it more likely that Shanks is now noticing him and on guard. I'm saying the 50-50 is before Kizaru charges assault, right? And then from there, it becomes less likely that he hasn't noticed Kizaru because Kizaru's given more of a chance for Shanks to notice him.
Okay, you're just saying that since there's like more possibilities, like for example, like when Shanks on the ground, either he's on guard initially or off guard initially, and then when he goes up, he can be he can be off guard initially, but on guard now. You're just saying now there's more possibilities that lead towards you, but that's just
That's
wrong.
more
There's
possible.
equal amount of possibilities.
How's there equal amount of possibilities?
Okay, one is that he's off guard on the ground, which leads towards me. Two is that he's on guard on the ground, which leads towards you. The third one is that he's on guard on the ground and off guard when he comes up. The fourth one is that he's off guard on the ground and
That
on
third
guard
one
when he
just
comes
doesn't
up.
make logical sense. Why would Kizaru?
Third
Why
one?
would Shanks? Wait, why would if Shanks was already on guard for Kizaru's presence? Why would he not? Why would he
Okay,
suddenly become off guard when Kizaru went to go make the move? Logically, he'd notice Kizaru's presence and be prepared for it. That's what on guard means.
okay. The issue is that's one less possibility that supports you.
No, because the possibility that you're trying to add in, right, is that he was on guard initially, and then while Kizaru went to go attack him, he became off guard when he fired the lasers. That is the one that supports you to make it equal on both ends for you and
No.
me.
No, the ones that support me are that he's off guard on the ground and when he's in the sky. The second one is that Shanks is what do you call it? Shanks is off guard. What do you call it? Shanks is off guard in the sky when Kizaru's in the sky and on guard on the ground. Those both support
I
me.
just attacked the fact that that one that you just said right now
Oh, my bad,
makes
I
sense.
misspoke. That one
This,
supports you. The last one that the only one that supports you is saying that Shanks is on guard on the ground and on guard when he comes up.
okay, but the problem is no, the problem is that those that is one interpretation. Then when you actually look at the problem, when you look at it as a whole, right? When you look at the events in a linear timeline, it begins as a 50-50, right? But then the chances get skewered. And the 50-50 is when Kizaru is before he's attacking, right? And then when he goes to attack, he's doing more to alert Shanks. So even though there's still two possibilities, right? Whether or not after all that Shanks is off guard still and whether or not he's on guard now, the possibility for him still being off guard is less likely. It's not 50%, 50% because Kizaru's done more to make what's his name Shanks aware of his presence after it was already two
Yeah,
sides, just as likely.
you were trying to prove this by saying there's more possibilities, but you haven't listed the possibilities.
I have.
Okay,
Or
you said
we can conclude on this if you want, because there's probably going to be a lot if we're going to analyze this entire fight.
yeah.
And we don't have that.
I want to
Okay.
get into mouse scaling now. Ain't gonna lie.
The what,
Can I get into mouse scaling?
bro? My evidence is still on the idea that even after the interaction, he's like even after that interaction of the lasers of the laser block, he
Okay,
still
no, it
beat
looks like
Kizaru.
Kizaru gets to the ground and then Shanks. Let me go back to the clip actually. All right, you just saying Kizaru gets to the ground and then Shanks is suddenly at his neck.
Yeah,
Like
basically what
I'm
happens right, is that give me a second because I'm finishing the clip. Okay. So basically what happens is after Shanks blocks the initial wave of lasers, he then jumps up to attack Kizaru, and Kizaru is just barely able to to fire those lasers before Shanks comes like right to his face. Shanks blocks all of the lasers again, and then Kizaru turns into light, goes down to the stone cliff or whatever, and then Shanks comes immediately after that, and then Shanks he literally gets blitzed because he's not able to try and dodge or block it. Instead, he just holds his hands up and concede because the blade is
do you
right
think
next to
he's
his
off
throat.
guard when he like immediately reaches the ground?
I don't see why he would be.
I don't see why he would either. He just got to the ground. I'm saying there could be like
Because he's actively, well, no, he wouldn't be on guard because he's actively aware of where Shanks is, and he's trying to obviously escape from him. So he's actively just trying to move away from Shanks. He is on guard.
okay, he's moving away from Shanks. You can't prove he's aware of where Shanks is.
He's moving away from where Shanks is. He knows where he is, and that's why he's moving
No,
away from him.
okay, he knows he's in the sky. If he goes back to the ground, that's enough to say that he's moving away from him. But just because he knows that Shanks isn't on the ground at that specific moment, doesn't mean that he now knows where Shanks' position is.
Okay, but the problem is that okay, so he left Shanks in the sky there, right? He's trying to go to the ground. Obviously, he knows that Shanks is trying to come after him, so Shanks could only be moving down to the ground exactly in the way that he is. There'd be no reason like for him to not notice that. Not like he'd be trying
But
to move. The fact that he
I think I
couldn't
cut out.
perceive Shanks, the fact that he couldn't perceive what?
I might have cut out. Or was you?
Wait, what do you mean you're about to cut out?
Okay, either I cut out or you cut out. I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, you mean you I thought you were gonna. Okay. No, no. Okay. Let me repeat myself then. Basically, what I'm saying is that he left Shanks there in the sky, so he knows that if he's gonna go down to the ground, Shanks is gonna try and follow him since he's trying to beat him. So, it would like he would understand that Shanks is trying to come from him from there, so he would logically try and prevent that or prevent Shanks from continuing his chase by like moving out of the way, right? But the fact is he doesn't get the time to do that, and then Shanks ends up like
Okay, nothing.
having his sword
Okay,
to his throat.
unironically, nothing suggests that Kizaru knows that Shanks is gonna engage to him in the purpose of beating him. Shanks even states that he doesn't want to fucking fight him. He has him by the neck and doesn't want to kill him, and he states that
He's,
it's just a family quarrel. Please leave it.
he states that later, and the fact that Shanks is already charging at Kizaru, in the first place would already suggest that he is trying to fight him.
No, okay. What he does is he blocks a bunch of light. That is
Yeah, and then
literally.
he literally jumps right up and to attack Kizaru, and then ends up having to block his lasers. But that's about it. He literally is trying
Okay,
charging
no,
forward.
no. Let me see. Let me see. Actually,
Yeah, after the initial fire of the lasers, he jumps up to attack Kizaru, and then Kizaru is able to fire lasers right before he gets to him. Um, which
no,
we can
no. What
actually talk.
happens? He blocks the lasers that Kizaru sends down initially. Then he goes back up, and then Kizaru fires up more lasers, and he just blocks those.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like he's already charging forward, to attack Kizaru, and Kizaru just ends up giving him lasers to block.
He can
Oh,
be charging forward because he saw Kizaru charging up a laser.
but why? Wait, why would he do? Okay, so I don't understand the
Okay, if
relevance.
he's
He's
charging,
charging.
I'm saying if he's charging forward just to be defensive, then if nothing suggests that
Why would charging forward give him a defensive advantage?
no, charging forward to block the lasers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he already blocked them. Like
No,
you're asserting that he needs to
no,
do that, but he already did when he was on the
no.
ground.
Kizaru's firing more lasers. Like he charged more up, but then
Yeah, I
Shanks blocked the
understand
second
that.
round.
I understand that. And yet, Shanks was perfectly comfortable being able to dodge the lasers on the ground. Why would he need to get up?
When does he dodge lasers on the ground?
The first time Kizaru shoots the lasers.
No, the first time he blocks them.
Yeah, the first time he blocks the lasers is on the ground.
Yeah, so he can't dodge the lasers. He has to like block them and stuff when he's flying.
Okay,
So
sure.
he
And then
blocks.
he still goes up to assuming your stance is correct. He's still going up to block the lasers.
Okay,
So
okay,
nothing's changed.
okay. So if he's being defensive in both instances and not trying to actually like kill Kizaru, and this is further supported because later when he has him by the throat, he doesn't even kill him. He just says, "Leave us alone," basically. And there's
It,
no reason for Kizaru to even think in the first place that Shanks wants to fight them. This would just mean that what do you call it? This would just mean that when
uh,
Kizaru gets to the ground, there's nothing suggesting that he thinks Shanks is going to be on the. Did he leave?
I just no, no, I didn't leave. I disagree. The fact that Kizaru is literally trying to kill the red hair pirates and Shanks' daughter would give Shanks the incentive to take him out. Because otherwise,
He doesn't.
he's literally letting a man who's trying to kill innocent people, his daughter, and his crew. So it wouldn't make sense.
Wait, but Shanks literally lets him go like on screen.
No, he does that because he's trying to get Kizaru to because he doesn't ideally want to fight Kizaru. That does not mean he doesn't gonna do it if he has to. He's telling Kizaru basically, and that's why he's literally threatening him by putting his sword to his throat. An offensive maneuver. He's telling him, leave so we don't have to fight. Right? Ideally it isn't I agree, ideally it is in interest to leave with his daughter and whatnot and not have to fight Kizaru. But because Kizaru is making the offensive maneuver to attack Uta and whatnot, it forces Shanks to have to like it incentivizes Shanks to beat Kizaru because he's actively harming like he's actively trying to harm them. Just because he tries to reason with them to tell them to go away doesn't mean he doesn't have the offensive
Okay,
intent.
okay, just
The
because.
offensive intent is
Okay,
by the
Shanks
way,
wanted. Yep.
Kizaru would not know. Kizaru would not know that he's trying to reason with them because he says that later. Shanks says, "Leave me alone," and then he does this all diplomacy shit after, um, like the entire fight is over, right? So it's like, not only that, but the natural assumption is that Shanks is obviously attacking Kizaru because to beat Kizaru is to stop him from harming his family and shit.
Okay. You can't prove that's a natural assumption, by the way. But Shanks, I agree that Shanks
I can.
ideally. I agree that Shanks ideally doesn't want to fight Kizaru, just wants to like defend his daughter and him from Kizaru's like beams and shit like that, and he doesn't want to like fight him. But that doesn't defeat what I said. If Kizaru knows that Shanks doesn't want to fucking fight him, like ideally, then he wouldn't be expecting him to be on the ground. I'm saying that we don't know if Kizaru even expects Shanks to be on the ground.
Wait a minute, that even under your interpretation that he's not trying to be offensive towards Kizaru, that doesn't work because he's still showing that he's trying to follow up to prevent Kizaru from advancing towards his daughter. It's hence why he leaps up to the air to block the lasers when he blocks the lasers a second time. So either way, Kizaru would expect Shanks to follow him, and he would have
Okay,
to get away.
if Kizaru's at position X, then he jumps up to fire lasers, then Shanks deflects them all, and then he goes back down to position X. That would be Kizaru retreating, so Shanks wouldn't even under Kizaru's view, Shanks wouldn't even have to go after him.
Wait, that's assuming that Kizaru is actually trying to concede instead of just back away from Shanks, who's literally right up to his face. Um, Trying to attack him. Obviously, that's just a way of dodging. You know, Shanks is trying to be on the offensive, and Kizaru's retreating by taking a defensive stance away from Shanks. Right? That doesn't mean that he's conceding the fight.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, but no, you're trying to say retreating is in
Okay. I'm saying that he's not fighting him temporarily. And actually, I think it would semi imply. I think it would imply that he's conceding at the moment. Because why do you think he would go back to his initial position?
because Shanks is at a position where he's trying to attack Kizaru, so it's basically dodging. It's dodging the blow that Shanks is trying to give Kizaru.
Okay, repeat that. I was reading chat and
Because it's basically him dodging the blow that Shanks is trying to give him.
when he's on the ground.
Yeah, that's why he goes from the air to the ground.
Uh, Shanks didn't even attack though. What is he dodging?
Well, he's dodging Shanks' expected attack.
What expected attack?
Because Shanks is trying to fight him.
Yeah, okay. Shanks is trying to deflect its attacks. You couldn't show that Shanks is trying to actually like harm him.
As I said, right, it would just be better incentive to take out Kizaru instead of letting him try and harm them. Like,
No,
naturally, harming them is going to be an incentivizer for a fight.
okay. This just circles back to like how ideally Shanks doesn't want to fight Kizaru though.
Okay, no, but yeah, how does that prove that he's not going to be fighting Kizaru if Kizaru is trying to harm them? That can be his ideal intention. That does not mean that has to be his actualized intention, given the context of the scenario, which is,
Okay,
again, Kizaru trying to fight them, which obviously would warrant fighting back so that you can prevent the harm that Kizaru warrants to his family and whatnot.
wait. This
That's
just
what,
showing the series. Like Shanks ideally doesn't want to fight Kizaru, even after Kizaru fires his light beams and Shanks deflects
yeah,
all of those. Okay.
I get,
Yeah.
okay, but that just,
So in the past, when Shanks is like in the air, when he's deflecting all those light beams, he'd still ideally not want to fight Kizaru.
yeah, that's fine, but as I said, his ideals does not have to hold up to what he's actually trying to accomplish in that scenario, which would be to take out the active threat.
Okay. I'll just put in this way then. Even after Kizaru fires his lasers and shit, when they're on the ground, Shanks still actually does not want to fight Kizaru. But when they're in the air, before that, Shanks, what do you call it? Before Kizaru even fires his second laser, Shanks would still not want to fight Kizaru actually.
Yeah, I understand. I understand the fact, but as I said, right, just because he doesn't want to doesn't mean that it would prevent the more logical assumption that he would try to, given the fact that Kizaru posed a threat there. At best, you could say, right, and by the way, Kizaru also doesn't know this, so even if Shanks is working with that way of thinking, because we know he is, Kizaru wouldn't actually know that because Shanks didn't tell him yet, so he would just assume what is more rational, which is the fact that Shanks is trying to fight him to get him away from the scenario. But at the same time, right, Shanks did actually put the sword to Kizaru's throat to threaten him, so shows that Shanks was trying to put Kizaru in a position to concede in the first place. So either way, even if Shanks directly didn't like slit his throat and instead put his sword to threaten him to basically make him concede the fight anyway, it would still be advantageous for Kizaru to evade a potential block and to treat it as if Shanks is actually trying to fight him and attack him. Because a threat putting the sword to the throat is an indirect threat and still a way of attacking, even if it's not actually doing physical damage. It's implying that he will if he has to, which again supports my whole thing about the rationality.
Okay. If you're saying that Shanks doesn't, if you're saying that you can grant that Shanks wants to, what do you call it? If Shanks wants to like not fight Kizaru and just be defensive, then I think it's. I don't think you can prove why it's more likely that instead of doing what he wants to do, he would just do this other thing, which he doesn't want to do, which is just fight Kizaru and be offensive.
But I already think I explained it. Did you? Do you
Continue
still
on.
think based on that, right? Do you still think based on what I said, right? And how the fight would logically go by, and the fact that Kizaru doesn't know he said that yet, you still think that that would all just the fact that Shanks doesn't want to alone in his own head would mean that not only would he not at least try to put him again in the compromising position,
I'm not
that he
saying.
did.
I'm not saying that Kizaru inherently even knows this.
Yeah, okay. We can conclude at
We
this
could.
point if you want, 'cause I don't wanna. I like again like the thing is the way we're going is that we're going to like every single part of the fight, so we should keep the points about individual interactions short because you know what I mean. Like if we're gonna hyper analyze this fight, we kind of have to do that.
Okay. I'll just move on to my scaling then.
Wait. That's not the problem is that like here's another for you, right? Even if you want to assume that the blitz at the end, for example, doesn't matter because Kizaru was for some reason not expecting Shanks to come to attack him again, which well we already just concluded that. Um, Let me go back to just confirm for a second. It'll only take a
Okay.
couple
If you
seconds.
won those points, it's just irrelevant, bro.
Well, that's not the only part of the fight that I want to mention. Okay, how about we can make this like the last point before you move on to your scaling. It won't take long.
No, we don't need this, bro.
You're the one who wants to hype. Anyways, you know what? Like, I'm just saying that even after Kizaru attacks the first point of the lasers, right? Um, my bad. I was laughing something that I said. After Kizaru dodged, I mean, after Shanks deflects the first round of lasers, Shanks then comes up, and yet in the time that it took Shanks to go from what's it the bottom of the island to all the way up in the sky where Kizaru is, excuse me, Kizaru only had enough time to what's it charge up his lasers, and then Shanks was immediately able to match the lasers being fired with a block. This just shows that Shanks was just able to do way more movement in at the same time of when Kizaru did,
Are you
and
talking
he
about when Shanks
blocked the
initially blocked
lasers.
him or like the
This
second
shows
one?
greater attack power and greater speed, which should already prove the superiority at that point. The second one, because basically
I
he
agree that
initially
Shanks'
blocks him,
jumping
and then he
speed is
goes all
better
the way
than
up to where
the
Kizaru is
speed
to
that
block
at
the
which that
second round.
Kizaru like fires up his lasers. Like that, like his yeah, it's a kind of jewel, whatever. That's cool. I think that
Um,
gets him a win.
well, the fact is that well, even if we wanted to, even if I steal him out of that for a second, say that's just his jumping speed, right? The fact that he was able to then block all of the lasers at the same time that they were being fired shows that Shanks just has way greater overall speed than Kizaru, and then can just attack at the same speed as Kizaru, meaning that overall he still just has much better speed than Kizaru.
No,
He's
that's not
able
what
to.
he did. Okay.
Yeah, well,
He
he
didn't.
in the same. Okay, so basically, all Kizaru did was he was barely able to fire his lasers. At the same time, that not only Shanks had to block said lasers with his sword, but he also jumped that massive
Okay,
distance.
I don't think that's speed feat for Shanks. Him just moving. Kizaru's lasers would just fired because, the way the way that it would be a speed feat or like a reaction feat would be if like Kizaru fired his lasers, then Shanks moved his sword in a completely different position to block them. But what Shanks did is he had his sword in front of him, and all he did was he's like flew towards Kizaru. That's it.
No, he still performed an action to block them.
The action was just like flying like through the air. Like I'm fine
But
with that.
you literally see that he swings his sword at look at 1 minute, 1 minute and 3 seconds. You see that he actually swings his sword after he's done the jump. He jumps and he's already close to Baikizaru as soon as like he starts charging the lasers. And then which actually shows anyway like much better reaction speed from Shanks because Kizaru is only able to muster up the ability to recognize and to recharge the lasers by the time Shanks is already so close. And then when Kizaru shoots the lasers, Shanks literally does a maneuver where he
Wait, it
swings.
doesn't show that. It
So
doesn't
yeah,
show
he
that.
did use
It
his
shows
sword.
Shanks. It shows Shanks like putting his sword in like a defensive position. Then it shows Kizaru shooting his lasers.
One sec.
Alright.
Um, yeah, my bad, my bad. Fuck. So no, we do see from 1 minute to 1 minute and 2 seconds that as Kizaru is shooting his lasers, Shanks swipes his sword. That is an action with his sword in addition to him jumping all the way from island to Kizaru. So your whole point that like it wouldn't factor in his combat speed, I guess, is what you're trying to say. That's also irrelevant because he was able to react to it with that too, despite him having to do all that movement earlier to get to Kizaru.
I ain't gonna lie, I do not see that shit.
You don't see it from
Okay, okay.
1 minute to
What we see is Kizaru charges up the lasers, then it pans to Shanks, and he like swings his sword, then the lasers get blocked.
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. As you said right now, he swung his sword. That's my point.
Yeah, but did he swing his? Okay, okay. The issue is when he swung his sword with lasers already fired.
Either way, I don't think it really matters because like that just shows that his combat, like his overall speed, in the time that it took him to jump all that distance and then swing the sword, Kizaru was only able to remain stationary and fire his lasers. So it basically shows that his attack speed, like his overall speed, matched Kizaru's speed when Kizaru was just doing a way slower action. So in a fight, um, at best, like this just shows that with relative distance between the two, Shanks is just faster and able to outspeed him because here there was a huge disadvantage for Shanks having to cross all that distance. So either way, it would show that if he was able to do that and swing his sword at the same time that Kizaru was only able to get his lasers out and then he got blocked, then it just shows that with the relative distance between them in a fight, Shanks just has the advantage because he would still outspeed Kizaru based on like just moving more distance over the same amount of time.
We can move on. I think I addressed that.
Okay. Um,
I want to get to my scaling now.
yeah, how about let's not make this
Okay,
fucking
well, okay.
go to your
We're
skill.
fine with old white beard buff Shanks, right?
Um,
Or like equal to Shanks.
yeah, let's just say they're equal for now.
Okay, and then Akainu, no, Kizaru above old Garp.
Kizaru above Old Garp.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
and then old Garp like equal to or above old Whitebeard.
Why?
It's a but I don't think that old people get weaker in One Piece. I think it's stated explicitly for Whitebeard. So if we have this greater consistency for like old people not getting weaker in One Piece than there is for old people getting weaker in
Wait,
One Piece, I think it's more
prove,
likely that
prove that old people don't get weaker in One Piece.
I know for Whitebeard I'm just saying it's the case. So we have this greater consistency.
How does Whitebeard establish enough of a base rate to speak for all old men? Also, first that.
No, I'm saying okay. I'm saying there's like a one example. There's one example of old people not getting weaker in One Piece. Then I think it's more likely if we have zero examples of old people getting weaker in One Piece. Then I think it's more likely that old people just don't get weaker.
What? Okay, no, because even disregarding, like, well, obviously there's many old people in One Piece, but even if we take old people such as Garp, Whitebeard, Rayleigh, I guess Scopper, Gaban now, that's like four, but there's more, right? Whitebeard alone just being one example, which, well, that's another question, that's another contention I have, but even if we steelman that and said that he was an actual example of old people not getting weaker, that'd be one next to the base rate of over four old people that we have in One Piece. I just named four in total, but there are more. So it's like, why would that one base rate be enough? That's less than 50% of the cases we have of old people to say if it's more likely that they would get weaker or stay the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. I don't think just because there's four people, I don't think I have to show that more than 50% of old people get weaker in One Piece. I
No, I'm
don't get
just
weaker in One Piece.
okay, but yeah, but if you only have one example, then I don't see then how you could provide
Uh,
likelihood over Like if
Okay,
you can't provide a
I'm saying
likelihood to
there's
that
no
idea,
precedent in the
then
series that old people
you know
don't get
it's
weaker
just
in
not
One Piece.
provable.
But
Yeah, but
saying that we
you'd
don't
have
have
to
the same
prove
precedent for others. Then.
you'd have to what's it prove that that's enough to make that case. Like
So, okay,
how is just one example?
do you think two people would be above?
Uh, two people. Well,
Yeah, two people.
from the only four that I've
Like a
mentioned,
three.
two people would make it equally. It would make it equally as likely.
Okay,
You
do you
have to have
think
three or
three would
more.
be enough?
Sure.
Okay, so if there's three people, there's like a 3% consistency, then it should be the what do you call it? It's more likely than not that old people don't get weaker. Okay, and then if there's one person, there's 1/3 of the consist of like the probability being generated, right?
Wait, repeat that.
If three people, if there's like a 3-person like what do you call it? If there's like a 3-person
Well, three
consistency.
out of four. I'm saying 3 out of 4 would be 75%, right? Which means that the case is more overwhelmingly likely in the idea that old people don't get weaker unlike it being less than 50%, which wouldn't make a good enough established base rate for that consistency to be proven as a likelihood in the case.
Wait, I'm going. I think 25% is enough because if you have 25% opposed to like 0% for the other side, then we should accept the 25%.
What? That doesn't prove that there's 0% on the other side.
No, I'm saying there's 25% opposed, like the side that we don't know.
No,
But
there's
I don't
25,
think it's even
20.
just what I said
No,
about
no,
like
no,
the.
no, that no, 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 no. 25% of old people would be provably not getting weaker. That does not mean that that's no, no. That would mean that 25% of the sample size that we have, four in this case, right, would be an old person not getting weaker. But at that point, that would fuck. That wouldn't mean that because for 50% or more is to make something more likely than the other, right? If it's like 51%, makes it more likely than the other case, right? The fact is, if we have two potential possibilities and we have 25% of a sample size to indicate people do get weaker than they don't get weaker, if we don't know the other three, we can't assert the probability for them. So the problem is, right,
Well,
that those three
I
old
think we
people
should just. I think you should just the other argument first because I think that also like provides credence for this one.
Well, you mean whether or not he actually did get weaker, old Whitebeard?
No, not that. Like, oh, Whitebeard. We have this one case. You said that if there's like 3 cases, then the probability increases, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying that it follows from that. There's one case, then 1/3 the probability increases.
The fuck does that mean?
Okay.
Put that a little more
Um,
practically, because I'm not quite understanding.
Okay, the probability of old people getting weaker, not getting weaker in One Piece, goes up by goes up by X amount if there's like there's like 3 examples, right?
No, it wouldn't actually go up. That would just mean that the sample size that you have would show that 25% of that sample size, which for now the four people are representing old
No,
people,
no,
1 plus 3.
75 because I'm thinking there's 3 people. You already granted that.
Okay, yes, okay. Show me the. Okay, wait. Show me the 3 people.
No, I'm saying that. Okay, I'm saying that. Let's say if there's 3 people, then the probability of old people not getting weaker in One Piece would go up by a certain amount, right?
Well, if we use a sample size of 4, then the 3 people would be 75%, which is more than 50. Yeah.
Okay, and then if there's 3 examples, then the probability goes up by a certain amount, and then if there's only one example, the probability should go up by just 1/3 of that certain amount that's generated by these 3 examples.
What? How would one? How would there not being one option mean that it go? Wait, what are you talking about? I think you're just wording it a little hard to get. Because by what you're saying, right? You're saying that not having a probability makes the other one go up.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So,
Okay, I'll try typing it. Just check scans.
okay.
Probability.
Why hear that shit?
Okay, so the probability. Okay, there's like initial probability, and then if I introduce 3 examples of old people not getting weaker in One Piece, it goes up by X amount, right?
No,
You granted that.
I didn't grant. I granted the sample size relative to the
Yeah.
sample
Okay.
size.
Relative to
Okay.
out of four
Wait, wait,
people.
wait, wait. Wait. Let me phrase it like this first, just so you can understand, right? I'm saying, right, this is not. You're using this to prove the consistency of old people getting weaker, right? This right you're using right now isn't that. What you're saying is, let's say we mentioned four, so we're just gonna keep it at four for now, right? We have four old people. If you prove one of them didn't get weaker from age, then that would mean that 25% of that sample size we can affirm did not get weaker with age, right? That would still leave 75% unknown. So I'm saying is that if you have three, then that means that 75% of those guys are confirmed to not get weaker through age, which would make the consistency of the likelihood provable now, because you'd be able to prove a likelihood with the
Well,
sample
but
size that we
that does
have.
not
You know what I'm
that is
saying?
not just the argument. But okay, I'll just sound like another skin. Like it's old garb over old whitebeard.
Okay.
Future, do you have the
Wait, are you
old
still going to
garb?
use that argument, or do you just want to switch to this one
I'm still
instead?
gonna use that as a
'Cause I
skin.
don't.
I just want to use this one, just in case I lost that.
We didn't like. How about why don't we just conclude on that then? Because first off, how about this?
So yeah, we can just end.
Um,
We can just like end that point and go to this one.
no, because I don't like.
Wait, Flame, so you
First
don't
off,
need any skins?
wait a minute, wait a
No, I
minute,
do.
wait a minute. First off, because if you, that point still presupposes that Whitebeard didn't get weaker
Oh, I'll send that
through
scan. I'll
old
send it. I'll send it. I'll
age.
send it.
I want you to prove. Do you want to like begin with that first before you do this other shit that you're about
Yeah,
to do?
I got
All right.
the scan. I got the scan. Yeah, actually, I don't think this matters because like the statement I have just says that old garb is stronger than like old whitebeard verbatim.
But if you just want to use that argument only, right? I just don't want to obviously leave an argument uncontested. If you want to just switch to this argument for now and leave the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
one, I mean,
sure.
you can come
We
back to
we
it if
get
you
to that
want.
one
But
later.
okay, just do the scan that you're gonna get from future or whatever.
Old garb strongest. Right there. Hey man, so check scans. As we can see, old garb is stated to be the world's strongest old man.
There's no fucking way, bro.
Yeah,
Let me see this. Let me see this scan.
I don't have the translation in Angola.
Uh,
Oh yeah, I have the translation now. Never mind.
hey, give me a second, by the way. I'm gonna come back in like 30 seconds.
Oh, no scan server has this shit.
It should be in Punk Records.
Yeah, I can grab it. Give me a second.
I got it in the translation.
Yo, Lucas, hit him with the 1-2.
Okay, let's see
There is
this.
no response to the scan.
You do realize the same thing is said for Whitebeard, right?
I don't know.
I'll send a scan of that.
I'm pretty sure this just says strongest grandpa. Translate
Well,
or strongest father.
the same
Something like that.
the same kanji is said for Garp. Um, by the way, like the same like characters you can see.
Code,
So you'd have to like, it could just be calling Garp the strongest grandpa at that point, then prove Whitebeard's a grandpa. You'd have to prove that.
wait. Damn, bro, you got me with the translation.
What I'm hearing is the flames went out.
What the fuck?
Flames have gone out.
I
Yo,
remember no.
what?
Skypea Flames or something else. I remember Flames from
He was a
Skypea.
different animal.
Chat GBT doesn't fucking work.
Wait,
Well,
do you
not
need the
gonna lie, bro.
translation for the GARP scan? I can get it for you.
No, I have the translation for the grub scan.
Which one are you
I think
looking
he's
for?
trying. I think he's trying to find something.
I think he's trying.
I think he's trying to find something. He's trying to find something.
Wait, is it the one where like he's like the old man? It's like the strongest grandpa or something?
I got it. Never mind.
I was about to say. Because the jungle always has it. If you join the tier 50 jungle, you can get almost any single scan and almost every single thing. You can also get it for 50% off.
We're not doing that.
Come on, I need to advertise my private, not so private server. Private, not so private. It's a situationship.
Damn, bro. I wish I was still in Sakazuki scan server.
Well, you could be in the jungle right now, only for $4.99. I'm playing.
Somewhere out there, Sakazuki like felt so good because somebody said that.
Sakazuki has this one secret scan of like Whitebeard being the strongest pirate above, like upon death.
You can.
Oh, I
bro,
got
you can literally.
Hold on a second. I got you.
Oh shit!
Wait, or you don't want that scan for the debate right now, are you?
Oh wait, no, I don't need it actually. I have this.
I'm
Quaking,
so
man.
confused.
Instead of that old garb,
one.
this little Draco scan. See that old garb can take down any pirate in the new world with one punch.
Hmm.
So you're dropping this point. You're going.
Yeah, you got me with the translations.
Okay. Shit, bro.
You want that scan? I can get it.
But yeah, give the scan and the translation.
Yeah. This is Vivre card here.
Wait, so Flames beat C, right? So can I push Lukas over C?
Anyways,
Let's
Why
fucking
did he
get
say
it.
it like infinity, bro? Why did he try to say it like infinity? Anyways.
okay,
Anyways,
but
anyways, as I was saying, like, I'm not done speaking. Anyways, why you stuttered?
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
I can't copy the scan. Okay, I'll just take a screenshot of it then. Fuck.
I think screenshotting scans gives you more aura.
Damn.
Always save them
You're
or get it
30
from the
years old.
jungle.
Yeah, I know, 30-year-olds. I don't know if that logically made sense, but I'm gonna pretend it did.
Lucas probably go home and tell his wife about question begging or whatever, bro.
Here, I got the scan. I got the scan
yeah.
in the translation.
Okay, let me
His
see.
wife is like, "Where have you been all day?" And he's like, "Okay, what's the relevancy for that?"
All I'm saying is that you don't want to be biased
Present a syllogized argument.
You don't want to be biased.
What's the syllogized argument for B being a bad husband? That's not an argument.
Okay, I've got the translation.
Flames, I can just send the garb scan. Not.
I got it.
What's the empirical likelihood that me
What's the
drinking a
argument?
bunch of beers makes me a bad husband? I think the fact that I drink one beer, if there's a 50% possibility that me after 10 beers is drunk, and a 50% that I'm not drunk, that means that there's a 5%
You can
Literally
never
chance
prove that
I'm
Lucas and
after one
drunk
beer.
Lucas are a bad
Realistically.
husband. Yeah,
Exactly.
because drunk Lucas is different from normal Lucas.
Yo, Flames. Is this what you're looking for? What Zhang just said?
I'll have to see what he sent.
You look at the VC scans.
Wait. I found it.
Okay. So,
Hey, that's my translation.
okay, so
No,
you prove that.
it's not that part. Is it that one?
Translation.
No, it is not. It isn't. Oh yeah, it's that. Yeah. Either one works. It's fine.
Okay. So let's just go with this for now because I think another one says that one in the Fury card I've translated just says the same thing basically. Um, can you prove Viper is an active pirate, but the time that like in the time frame that they're trying to reference is
Not Whitebeard. Not Whitebeard. Shanks.
okay, okay. Yeah, I thought you were just gonna say that, but I wanted to test him. Hold up. So in that case with Shanks, right? Does the context of shooting someone down
That's not the one I'm using. But even if I use
here
that,
about someone
it's
that can kill him
contextualized it
in
to
a one
Marco's
v one?
skin.
That's what it says here in the scan. He can shoot down
Okay, if he
a
and it's
pirate.
contextualized to the Marco scan where he's punching him, blitzing him.
No, no, okay. You'd have to prove that they're referencing the action of him blitzing him. I think they're just
There's an
referencing the
arrow.
fact that what?
There's an arrow pointing directly at the Marco scan.
Yeah, but I think that they're just using that to reference how he's got a strong enough fist to shoot down a pirate. Hence, they reference his hockey and shit that he puts on his fist. I don't think they're referencing the fact that he can also blitz any pirate indirectly, because that's not what they're saying. They're just saying they're just using like the fact that he punched down Marco. Hence, why they're just descripting the fact that he can punch someone with hockey and shit and do that. So like it wouldn't really be a speed thing. It would just be an attack power thing.
Okay, if it's not, it's clearly not just doing that. It's clearly not just saying that he has like he's able to like his fist arm in hockey. Because in the arrow, when it points to the scan, it's saying he can shoot down any active pirate as well. That part's also pointing to the scan.
Yeah, but that's not like doesn't mean he has to blitz them.
Okay, shoot down in context of Marco, it's a blitz.
Okay, prove that they're specifically saying that he would shoot down them exactly in the same way Marco did. I agree that he shot down Marco.
Lucas,
It doesn't have to be to the same degree as Marco.
Lucas. Flames is simply arguing that the author is using Marco as a model for this.
Yeah, I'm agree with that, right? But Marco using Marco as a model does not mean that it would go down the exact
What?
same way.
If
That's
Marco
what
is
model means.
if Marco is being
Lucas just conceded. He just conceded.
Wait.
Lucas just conceded.
Wait, let me
If he's
talk
being
to
used as
Flames about
model,
this.
that's
Let me
what it
talk
Lucas
means.
to Flames
actually
about this.
concedes to
Holy shit,
Lukas
let me
and
talk to
Flames.
Flames about this. Let me talk to Flames
I
about
love
this.
you
Very
too,
simple.
Let him
Lucas.
talk, guys. Let him talk.
Yeah, no, please.
I'm sorry.
Flames. Let me finish my argument. Basically, right?
It's okay.
The fact that like okay, the fact that the act of shooting down Marco, right, is what's referenced to be applicable to every other pirate, nothing else, right? So I can agree that they're using this to show that he shot down Marco, right, and proving that that's something that he can do, right? That wouldn't mean that the context would then be applicable to like him blitzing him and all that shit. It would just be in reference to using Marco as an example of a pirate that he shot down.
Okay, so
Like
shooting
he
down.
shot down Marco. So now let's talk about what shooting down means specifically.
Okay, if they're saying here that let's go with his fist clad in armor hockey, Garp can shoot down any active great pirate. If it's pointing to this scan, that would also mean that shooting is indexed to the scan, correct?
What do you mean by shooting is index to the scan?
Okay, when Garp punches Marco, Garp is shooting down Marco, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just like, and Garp blitzes Marco here as you granted. So the same
I
in
didn't
just saying
grant that.
with his
Let's move on that for now.
okay with his fist clad in armament hockey, Garp can blitz any active pirate because you just granted that shooting is indexed to this scan where he's punching Marco and he blitzes
No, I
Marco.
didn't.
You said you were willing to steal man it.
No.
Unless you want to go into it now.
Shut up, one second, please. Oh my goodness. Listen, just because just because I don't even think he blitzed him, but that's beyond the fact. What the act of shooting down, right? I don't care about the quote unquote blitz that happened before that. The act of wait one sec. The act of shooting down Marco is what's in reference here, right? So obviously, like I'm just saying that it could just be in context to the general action that he shot down Marco by punching him downward with his fist, right? I'm saying that yeah, he can do that to anyone else. That's fine, and they're using him as an example of someone that he specifically shot down by punching him downward with his fist. That does not imply or prove or anything of the sort that he would do it in the exact same way as Marco, right? Let's say, right, that he punches two people and one of them gets literally killed in one shot and gets shot down, and the other one gets shot down, but they're still like generally fine, right? Both of them still got shot down, but they're just two different effects. So you have to prove, right, that just because this is using Marco as a model of someone who got shot down by Garp, as in he punched them and they got shot downward to the ground, right? You'd have to prove that they're specifically saying that it would happen exactly like it did with Marco. Which again, like I can agree that they're using Marco as a model, but that does not imply what you're trying to say.
Okay, so you're saying Marco is an example of being shot down by Garp, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then there's other pirates that every other pirate, like every other active pirate, gets shot down by Garp, right?
Yeah, that's what the statement's saying, yeah.
And then you're saying an example of getting shot down is like Marco got shot down, but every other pirate doesn't have to get shot down in the exact same way, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have to get shot down in the exact same way. I'm just saying that they're going to get shot down in a way where they're getting blitzed.
Why would that be inclusive?
I'll just explain why I'm saying that shooting down in this context means blitz.
Okay, no, the act of shooting down is to shoot Marco down, right? Like that's how the words connect. Marco is being shot down because he's being propulsed by Garp's fist downward to the ground, right? That is not nowhere in that.
Actually, continue.
What?
Continue is fine. I'll say it later.
I'm just saying that, like, but you're basically what you would have to argue is that the term shooting down means to blitz someone, right? Which, well, you can actually try and prove that if you want. But like obviously they can reference the context of Garp shooting down Marco. Just because he achieved that with a quote unquote blitz does not mean that he, even if that's true, that he would achieve it in the exact same way. He can shoot down someone by even catching them off guard.
Okay. I'm saying that in this game, the definition of shooting down you're using here just is wrong. I'm saying that the kanji that they use can also be it can be translated as shooting down, but it can also be translated as pulverizing. Okay, so it's not just hitting them down. So Garp is just pulverizing these people, correct?
I wouldn't necessarily. Well, you just said they can be either or, which is true. Yeah, that's what multiple translations mean. He could just be shooting them down, which, well, I'll send the definition to shoot someone down. One of the definitions of shooting someone down is just simply to cause fall by shooting, which is all that, which is in context. If you really want to use Marco as a context here, that's what he did. He caused Marco, and that's what the scan shows. The scan shows Marco being shot down, as in he's moving a distance downward because Garp threw his fist. So the term shoot down could just be referring to that, and I would argue it's more likely because that's all the scan that's used as a reference here implies.
Yes,
you
we
don't
do.
see Marco literally getting pulverized in the scan. Can you prove that?
Wait, Lucas, you don't think Marco got his jaw knocked by fucking Garp?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
think
he
that
gets
happened?
knocked down. Yeah, even with the shitty little healing powers, he still has a big ass he still got his cheek cut open.
Well, pulverized can either mean to reduce to fine particles or to defeat utterly. And even though Marco, like, okay, even though Marco after this in the manga was obviously clearly damaged, he only had like a big bruise on his cheek. He wasn't completely defeated, and he wasn't reduced.
He was defeated. He didn't try going back up there. He just stayed down there.
Okay, how does that mean he's defeated?
Okay, let's get the definition of defeated. I think defeated just like when you have like conflicting goals. For example, actually, I'll just get it here. Having been beaten in a battle or other context, when a victory over someone in a battle or contest, overcome or beat, prevent someone from achieving an aim, prevent an aim from being achieved, reject or block. That type of stuff.
Okay, so basically, right? Basically, you're saying that he can defeat someone, but in Marco's context, for example, it wasn't necessarily like beat him in a fight. It was just he defeated him as in he prevented Marco from going back up to achieve his goal, right? He stopped that. Well, then in this case, I would like if we assume that to be the case, then I'll just put into question why that would prove that he's definitively above. Well, let's just say Shanks. Here's a reference. If like this could literally just be in reference to Shanks wanting to go somewhere just as Marco did, and then Garp hits him, and then Shanks decides it's not worth it to fight Garp, and then just leaves. That doesn't necessarily mean that he actually has to lose in a 1v1 scenario.
Okay, if Shanks has a goal that cannot exist, that cannot coexist with Garp, my bad, with Garp's goal, like Marco's here. Marco wants to get up there. Garp wants Marco not to be up there. If Shanks has the same goal, but then he gets hit and he goes back down and he doesn't want to fight and he abandons this goal, that would
We don't
inherently
know the severity. We don't know the severity of a hypothetical goal that Shanks would have that causes him to be knocked down. That like causes him to fight Garp and then Garp to be, or at least hit by Garp and then Garp to be knocked down, right? Shanks might not value whatever hypothetical goal he might have before fighting Garp, so that's why he doesn't go to fight Garp, right? Just like how he didn't bother fighting the Marines when you go to Marineford and shit. But it doesn't inherently mean that if the fight between Shanks and Garp were to continue after Garp knocks him down, that
Actually,
Garp would beat him.
if Shanks thinks that's not worth it, wouldn't that apply relativity at least?
Shanks thinks that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It could, yeah.
Okay, so Garp, Rel, Shanks, and you agree that Garp's under Kizaru.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Kizaru over Shanks.
Well, no, but to prove like Kizaru could also just be relative to Shanks.
Yeah,
to a
okay,
higher
he can be
degree.
Rel, but my position was that he scales above. This still proving that he scales above.
No, because you can't definitively prove that because this doesn't prove Garp over Shanks, then you can't prove because this doesn't prove Garp over Shanks, right? And this doesn't prove Kizaru above Shanks by virtue because it can just let me type this out, right? Give me a sec. I put this like okay. Bear with me, I'm a slow typer.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Are you saying that if this doesn't prove that Garp is
Oh,
above
hold on,
Shanks, and that
I just don't want to confuse you. My bad. It can be something like this, right? Like both of these could be true with what we've established in the debate. Like at least established purely on your point, because obviously I've established I believe I won my point, but just disregarding all of that shit, right? My scale. Then if we look purely on what's been established with your scale, right? Either or of these can be true. Kizaru can be above and relative to Garp, and then Garp could be above or relative to Shanks, or Shanks could be above relative to Garp to a degree where Shanks could still be above Kizaru, but relative to a higher degree, or like it can just simply at least the first one is mainly what benefits me here, but Kizaru and over Garp can still be mutually inclusive with Shanks over Kizaru.
wait, no, okay. I think in One Piece, whenever what do you call it? I think in One Piece, whenever how do I explain this? In One Piece, whenever the characters are like stated to be when one character is stated to be stronger than the other, I think it has to be like a significant gap. Ain't gonna lie.
Why?
Okay, for Roger and Whitebeard, they're stated to be rivals. Rivals implies like you could be near each other, you can be like directly equals. But then Whitebeard's stated to be a little stronger.
Okay, but that's just a statement of someone being a little stronger, but still stronger.
Okay.
And by the way, Garp's we kind of conceded that just now, but either also right, Garp's statement isn't oh you're trying to use Kizaru's statement above Garp. My bad.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, that Whitebeard example, the Whitebeard and Roger example just shows that even though Whitebeard and Roger, what do you call it? Even though they're rivals,
No, but you just showed with that,
Malcolm.
right? That
What?
no, I'm saying like you just showed, right? That even though Whitebeard's a little bit stronger than Roger, they can and like Roger can Whitebeard can still be stated above Roger, but doesn't mean that Whitebeard now curb stomps Roger in a
Yeah,
fight or something.
Whitebeard's a little stronger, but they're still considered rivals. So when someone's just like relative to someone, but still like barely stronger, they're
Yeah, but you
considered
can
rivals in One Piece.
those can be mutually inclusive, right? Like you can be mutually inclusive to be rivals, but be a little bit above
Yeah, I
someone
know.
if you're not above someone by like that.
I grant that.
It doesn't really like strengthen the likelihood or anything of your point that like to be stated above someone means that like you got to be like completely destroying them. In fact, you just shown an example of the opposite with Whitebeard and
No,
Roger.
it's not the opposite. It's showing that. Okay, it's not the opposite. It's showing that when what's the name? Roger and Whitebeard are rivals, even though one is slightly above. So, what do you call it? When one is slightly above the other, but not like a significant degree, they're just stated to be rivals.
You're no okay. Well, you're I'm assuming what you're basically trying to indirectly say, sir, is that when one is above the other, but not by a lot, they're called rivals instead of being stated to be above. You'd have to prove that them being stated rivals means that they can't be stated above. Like wipe, you're
I'm
not
the-
proving that. Wait, you're basically. Wait a minute. Let me put it like this. Let me find the way to reword it. You're saying that you would have to prove that Whitebeard, just because he rivals Roger, can't also be stated above Roger. You're trying to basically assert that the reason that he's called a rival to Roger is because he's above him only by a little bit, instead of him just being called stronger. You have to prove that.
Okay, I'm saying that the reason if he's stated to be a rival of Roger, it has to be because he's close to Roger in strength. Because if he was significantly above, they wouldn't call him
I
a rival.
agree. I agree with
that,
that.
right? Okay, then you
That doesn't.
cool.
Okay, that doesn't mean. All right, that Whitebeard can't also be stated above Roger, because he can be above just by a little bit and still be a rival at the same
That's
time.
fine. Okay, I'm saying that. I'm saying that in One Piece, that's typically just not how it works, though.
Well, how would that? Yeah, they have to prove that they
I just
go
gave the
against them.
example, though.
No, but that's what I said. The example doesn't. One second. The example doesn't work because you're assuming that you're assuming that Whitebeard is stated to be Roger's rival specifically because they have this like ideology where they don't want to say he's stronger than Roger because he's only stronger by a little bit. You're assuming that they are specifically not ever stating that Whitebeard's stronger than Roger
Wait,
because
wait,
he's
I'm
only
not
stronger
I
by a
have to
little
go.
bit. Which that's the only thing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Want to just postpone?
sure.
Okay.
Unironically, it's been over an hour as well. And that was like the rule. How was a 1 hour thing? What was y'all arguing about? Was it the relativity stuff or?
Yeah, basically he's trying. Okay, so basically he had Garp relative. Well, we kind of agreed there. Garp relative to Shanks, right?